This is the Supreme Court case study, McDonald versus Chicago by Gabriel Casella, period 4. The background for this case is that in 2008, the Supreme Court case of District of Columbia versus Heller ruled that it is your right as an American citizen under the federal government to possess a firearm in your home, independent of service or in a state militia. And soon after this ruling, Otis McDonald, a Chicago state resident, and other petitioners in Chicago argued that the city's gun control laws were a violation to the Second Amendment and were similar to the situation in Washington, D.C., that they felt they were being oppressed and they needed to change accordingly. Now, Chicago had a handgun ban to minimize the amount of violent crime in the city, which required anyone with a handgun to have proper registration for it. And the citizens of Chicago thought this was unconstitutional. And the 14th Amendment, which I've written in the parentheses there, also supported the Second Amendment in this situation. The constitutional issues are: does the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms apply to state and local governments in addition to the federal government through the 14th Amendment, which would limit Chicago's ability to regulate guns? And is the right to keep and bear arms even absolute? The decision of the court. Before I get to the actual decision, personally, I think Chicago should have won the court case because areas of the United States are very different, and the right of the Second Amendment should not be absolute, meaning whether you're in a rural area or an urban area, the law shouldn't be the same. It should be different depending on the situation. Chicago's a big city. I think that they needed the gun control. And Chicago didn't even want to take the firearms away. They just wanted a restriction on them through required registration. But on June 28th of 2010, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of McDonald by a 5-4 margin that the 14th Amendment makes the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms for the purpose of self-defense applicable to the states, and it is in fact absolute. The Supreme Court's reasoning behind the decision is that Samuel A. Alito, part of the majority who won the case 5-4, said that the fundamental to the nation's scheme of ordered liberty and rights that are deeply rooted in the nation's history and tradition are appropriately applied to the states due to the 14th Amendment. And additionally, the ban on handgun possession in the home amounted to a prohibition on an entire class of weaponry that Americans overwhelmingly choose for the lawful purpose of self-defense. And that means that they didn't want to punish all the people of Chicago for having a gun ban when most people use their guns responsibly and legally and within the law. The significance of the ruling is that the court's decision in favor of McDonald was a huge victory for gun rights activists as they stopped gun control efforts, now both in 2008 with the District of Columbia versus Heller, and now again in 2010 with McDonald versus Chicago. Not only the federal government, but also state governments are subject to the Second Amendment. The power of the National Rifle Association also expands by reduced gun control laws. And an easy way to remember the case is the distracted boyfriend meme, which the boyfriend are Chicago petitioners who are unhappy with the Chicago gun control laws, and they're looking over their shoulder at the recent ruling of Columbia versus Heller, and they want what they just got. And these are some of the sites I use to get my information.